Dr. Lau, please continue your investigation of the murder of Dr. Baxter. Your involvement has been requested by the highest levels of civil government. Please find data relevant to the case on your secure system at Cell Headquarters.
No answer.
Got to wait till the AI lab have had their turn analyzing her. Then she's all mine.
Ow! Hey, what was that?
I'd better not. I've already got leads to follow.
Wetware's not going to connect with that.
Got to wait till the AI lab.
Sorry, Regis.
A physical photograph. The team. February 2067. Regis is probably the only person I know who'd want his picture on paper. I guess defacing a digital one just isn't the same.
Nah, I've already got it set up just right. Better not pull the tape off the camera. It would upset Regis.
Dr. Lau, so good to see you again, my dear.
That's not the procedure. I never thought the controller of centralized government would look so human. Wow, what a view. You could probably see all the way to Mombasa on a clear day.
You should have made an appointment.
Dr. Vargas, I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
Certainly, my dear. Anything I can do to help.
What would you describe your role here as, Dr. Vargas?
This is publicly available information, Dr. Lau.
Now, Galatea, it is a reasonable question. For the past 18 years, I've held the role of controller of centralized government. I ensure that Central, our city governance CI, is functioning within parameters.
What would you say your political function within the city is?
None at all. The elected council formulates city policy. It is merely Central's role to execute this and ensure the day-to-day well-being of the city.
And it is Dr. Vargas's role to maintain Central's operations. Surely you're already aware of this, Dr. Lau.
Just wanted to get it from the source.
Sometimes our desire to remain outside the political spectrum has led to rumors. We are not, however, the secret puppet masters behind the government of Newton.
I shouldn't count you as my boss, then.
Dr. Lau.
Heavens no, my dear. If anything, we are equals on an administrative footing. Central acts as director for both of our operations, though.
How long have you known Dr. Regis?
Since, 2067, he joined a research project of mine. He was a good man then, very principled.
And now?
I've no doubt goodness remains. Though since joining Cell, I feel that he expresses this solely through his work.
Do you know about his garden on Tier 42 of this building?
Ah, yes. I've been there myself a couple of times. Though I hope we can keep that between us, Dr. Lau.
What did you think of it?
It is certainly an interesting way of coping with grief. Though that it has lasted so long is perhaps cause for concern.
What can you tell me about this incident?
Currently not a great deal, hence why you have been tasked with this investigation. Dr. Baxter has been found murdered in his workplace, and Dr. Regis was caught entering and leaving the facility by their security infrastructure.
How about a background to the case? A history?
Baxter has been responsible for the murder of Viksha Regis.
Charles Regis's wife.
He was caught and convicted, and until recently had been serving a sentence for the crime.
I'm aware of this so far, yes.
He had recently been paroled with the Vickerman Corporation as his sponsor. I can only imagine Regis's feelings on the matter.
Violent, no doubt.
But I knew Charlie Regis, and I know what kind of man he was. Justice is his motivator, but with his background, out in the hot zones.
You worry that this might have been his idea of justice?
Precisely. That, my dear, is why I need you to investigate this case before Central jumps to any conclusions to the matter.
You mentioned Regis's wife, Viksha.
Ah, yes, Vicky. She was a student of mine in the 50s in Buenos Aires. She spent several years working for the UN in hot zones around the world. When she had finished, she was the natural choice for the project I was just commencing.
He never really spoke about her.
They were very much in love. It pains me greatly to see a man so afflicted by a loss.
She was a engineer as well?
Yes and no. She specialized in organic computing, a field perhaps more closely aligned to your own.
Though Regis has an obvious motive, can you think of anyone else who might have a reason to do this?
I shall be honest. Dr. Baxter was not an easy man to work with. There were many who disliked him in his time, though none I knew could call him his enemy.
You mentioned a project that Viksha was recruited for.
I'm afraid that's classified.
Galatea, how can we help if we block every question? It was a project that utilized the expertise of both Viksha and Charles. Essentially, we were studying organic interfacing and large-scale computing.
Large scale, as in city coordination intelligences, like Central?
On this matter, I can answer no further.
What was your opinion of Dr. Baxter?
As a scientist 20 years ago, he was peerless in his field.
But as a human being?
He did not take refusal well. This apparently is what led to his breakdown.
And the murder that followed that.
Precisely. I have not spoken to him personally since the trial, however. I'm afraid I couldn't enlighten you about his recent state of mind.
Dr. Vargas, I really need to ask. In my office, why did you cut Central's feed?
That's classified, Dr. Lau.
I'm afraid I cannot give you a complete answer on that subject. But a number of factors regarding yesterday's network attack have raised concerns. Not least the timing. It may be that Central's administration has been compromised.
You believe it's linked to Baxter's murder?
What makes you say that?
You cut the camera when talking to me about it. You were concerned that whoever may have compromised Central would find out what we were discussing.
Ha! Well, I have no fear of the quality of Cell's investigative staff now.
I learned from the best. It's a fantastic view from up here.
Isn't it? That's why I choose to work from up here.
The only part higher in Fulcrum Tower is Central's operating center.
You could probably see all the way to Mombasa on a clear day. I'm certainly aware of your role in the city, Dr. Vargas. But who is your lovely assistant?
Of course, you haven't been properly introduced. This is my daughter, Galatea. She fills the role of my administrative support.
I'm being groomed for succession, apparently.
Oh, don't put it like that. You make it sound so dynastic. That certainly is not what we wish to represent.
What was your field before going into politics?
I was a computer scientist and a lecturer at Buenos Aires. In the 60s, the government of Newton was looking for research administrators. It eventually transpired that this role in itself was a kind of test.
The city council was looking for suitable individuals to manage Newton's new CI.
Central?
Yes and no. It was what eventually became Central.
Dr. Vargas, have you heard of mind-jacking?
Excuse me?
I'm afraid I have not, Dr. Lau. What is it?
It's the case Regis and I were working on lately. A number of individuals had their brains flash-wiped by a destructive copying technique.
That sounds most appalling, Dr. Lau. Does it pertain to this case?
Not that I'm aware of, sir. It might give someone a reason to frame Regis, though. Especially if they thought that we were getting too close.
So, perhaps Regis is a victim of attempted character assassination. To use Baxter as a means of doing so would be drastic.
Why don't you believe that Dr. Regis is responsible for Baxter's death?
I cannot say for certain that he is not, Dr. Lau. I simply hold on to the hope that he is not.
Thank you, Dr. Vargas. You've been most helpful.
Anything I can do to help.
You should have made an appointment.
Wetware's not going to connect with... Wetware's... Wetware's... Nope, sorry. What do you think of this?
Poor Charlie. They were very much in love.
Wow, that's a lot of green. Excuse me.
Great, they finally sent someone. You here to get the body out?
Maybe. I'm Max Lau, cell case specialist.
No kidding. I'm the lab director, Dr. Zvidzai Chigwa. Make it quick, I'm busy.
What's your role here?
I'm the supervisor for the telepresence factoring labs. Most of it's automatic. I just make sure it's all running like it should.
Sounds like a big responsibility.
It's a lousy job most of the time. TP is where management sticks people they don't want in public-facing roles.
You're not happy with it?
For the last few years, my career has been one disaster after another. I'm just glad it's plateaued into some kind of stability.
Can you tell me what happened?
Baxter got killed.
In any more detail?
When we started this afternoon, a whole lot of samples had been tampered with. We tried to call Baxter to find out what the hell was going on in the specimen bank.
And he didn't answer.
He didn't. Turned out the door to the specimen bank was locked too.
You haven't seen the body?
Nope, not in person, if that's what you mean. We got the camera feed online, but it was obvious that Baxter wasn't going to be coming out.
When did you last see him?
Guess it could have been Wednesday?
So he could have been killed any time in the past 3 days?
I guess, but it wouldn't fit with everything else. Is that all?
For now.
Then if you'll excuse me.
Excuse me, Dr. Chigwa?
Make it quick, I'm busy.
What's the purpose of this lab? Plant studies?
Yes and no. It's a TP lab, telepresence. There's a lot of research that's not exactly legal in some countries.
But in Newton, pretty much anything goes.
Exactly. If someone in the EU needs research done on something hazardous, infectious, or endangered, they send the orders here and we carry out the testing.
What sort of research?
Mostly we make new angiosperms from scratch. That's flowering plants to you.
Gee, thanks. Why would people want new flowers?
Sometimes it's a drug delivery method. The earliest commercial examples were fruit that grew packed with insulin. A lot of new wetware begins its life as engineered fruit, too.
Must be awkward if they cross-pollinate in the wild.
And a legal headache. Part of our job is making sure the copy protection works.
Copy protection in plants? Ouch. Aside from yourself, who else works in this laboratory?
There's my intern, Martin Neester, operates the factoring line. If you meet him, it's easy to see why they put him in here. And until recently, there was Dr. Baxter.
Tell me about Mr. Neester.
He came over from Eurofed on a study program. He's young. I guess we're all like that in our youth.
Good colleague?
He's all right. He got on board with that annoying Maladist trend. He knows how to follow instructions, so I let him get on with it.
Is visa still active?
Dr. Lau, we do not employ undocumented illegals in this lab.
Just have to check. I'm sure you understand. Tell me about Dr. Baxter.
Oh, he was bad enough to work with in the 60s. As part of his parole, they stuck a governor in his head. Since then, it's like talking to a badly written synthetic.
You don't care for him a great deal.
That man killed Vicky. Frankly, he deserved what he got.
But you still work with him.
He worked for me. It was another part of his parole. Vickerman's management persuaded centralized government that his skills were going to waste in prison. The company wanted him supervised by someone who knew him. Hence, they dragged my sorry ass in.
What did you have him doing?
He organized the specimen bank. It's the kind of thing we could just leave him at for hours on end. Days, sometimes. Really, it could have just been done by the facility's AI, but I had to give him something.
Otherwise, you'd have to talk to him?
Exactly.
You've got a keen mind. What's your take on this?
Hey, I'm not the detective, young lady. You know what I think? I think Regis did what they ought to have done 20 years ago.
Why do you say that?
Seems logical. We've got him coming into the labs on security, then we got him coming out an hour later. When we get here, we've got Baxter's corpse contaminating the specimen bank.
Anything else?
Well, something strange. Since we got in, we keep finding samples that have been tampered with. Looks like he spent his hour here messing up the genomes of our specimens.
That quickly?
If anyone was good enough to do it that fast, it'd be Charlie.
You knew Regis as well.
Yeah, I was on a research team with him and his wife back in the 60s. Baxter, too.
You've apparently known him a long time. Does this seem like something Regis would do?
Oh, after what he did to Vicky, I'd have strangled Baxter, too. I tell you, if he did do it, I wouldn't blame him one bit.
Do you think he did it, though?
I don't know. He was always kinda shady.
Tell me about it.
They made him do some real awful stuff out in the hot zones.
Such as...
Let's just say his escape led to a whole lot of people being jailed for war crimes.
You seem preoccupied.
That obvious, huh? We found a couple of specimens that Regis tampered with in his hour here. So I gotta run through the catalog and dig out the backups.
Sounds straightforward.
Not when there's 11,000 samples to take. Oh, I could punch Regis for this. Though, I want to shake his hand for Baxter so it kinda evens out.
What's been done to the samples?
He's used a customized viral vector to add huge amounts of junk DNA to their genomes. These are the last two I found, Medioflorens interensis and Linacia lawsonis.
May I have a look?
Do you think it'll help?
Just a hunch. Non-binary. Quaternary data string?
What do you mean?
My wetware systems are interpreting the genomes of these plants as sections of an audio file. He's used the DNA to store information.
You think so?
It's incomplete. The two samples only make up a third of the data, but M and L, my initials? This can't be a coincidence. He's left a message.
What does it say?
Not sure yet. I could probably construct the whole message if I can find where he's hidden the rest of it.
Safe to say it's in the other plants he's gengineered. Here, take this. You can sample DNA from the plants around the lab. If you run out of sampling cartridges, you can reload it at this console.
Thanks. How long would it take to sample everything in the lab?
Oh, only a couple of years. We have over 11,000 subjects. You're better off looking for specimens that would fill the gaps in the clue he left.
So, you worked with Regis and his wife, as well as Baxter. Did you also work for Dr. Vargas?
That pompous ass? Yeah, I worked for him.
You don't care for him.
He was a competent researcher, but he lives for politics. Everything was always about making the world a better place.
And you don't think it should be better?
It's a nice idea, just not realistic. And what we ended up making, it was... Actually, never mind.
What happens in the specimen bank?
It's where the samples of plants and growth matrices are stored. There's a huge library of subjects to work with, natural and man-made.
And that's where Baxter worked?
Yeah, it's not exactly taxing. I wanted to see what he could do since they put a governor in him.
You left him to work alone in there?
I'll be honest, he was not a pleasant man to talk to.
I wonder why Regis hid a message inside the DNA of these plants.
DNA's been used as a data storage medium before. Rather than on-off binary, DNA would be quaternary bits. Adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine. If he just left a message on one of the systems, though, or even on paper...
Then someone could have destroyed or erased it. Short of burning down the entire lab, they'd have no way to be sure they destroyed a message hidden like this.
Especially since he's scrambled so many of the other samples as camouflage.
He needs to make sure it's found. And based on the layout, he wants me to find it. Have you found anything else with added genetic data?
As a matter of fact, I have. There was a batch of Orchidaceae isotria in the growth lab, and...
And?
I can't remember exactly which specimen the other was. I do remember that it had red flowers, variegated, that is, multicolored leaves, and very, very small fruit.
Have you found...
As a matter of... There was a batch of Orchidaceae isotria in the growth lab, and...
And?
I can't remember exactly which specimen
Why didn't the facility's CI detect Baxter's vitals suddenly failing? It's a potentially hazardous environment in here.
We were wondering that as well. This afternoon we noticed the monitoring system in the sample lab was in recursion. All hell broke loose when the CI suddenly realized what had happened.
So either you've got a technical fault with the software or wetware interfacing,
Which is unlikely given how much they cost.
or someone breached the security systems to cover Baxter's murder. That gives me more hope. Regis would have no idea how to do that. What sort of research were you conducting in the 60s?
You mean with Charlie and his wife? You might not believe it, but we were the people behind Central.
Central? The city governing AI Central?
The same. Newton was looking for a coordinator AI. Vargas put together a team, including the new Mr. and Mrs. Regis.
Nuke me. Regis never mentioned anything about this.
It wasn't a happy memory for him. He left after the unpleasantness. We finished the project a few months later.
Huh. Might explain why he hates Central's guts.
Is that all?
For now.
Then if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to work.
It's the DNA sampler Dr. Chigwa gave me. I need to take samples from plants I think Regis hid the rest of his message in. What do you think of this?
Oh my. Is that? Goodness, it seems like such a long time ago. The project was just starting and we were all so buoyant, so keen.
I've never seen Regis looking this happy before.
He was a different man before he lost Vicky. He's always been a good one, though. I still can't quite believe he'd have done this.
A physical photo. Regis is... Hey, there's Dr. Chigwa as well.
It's the console for sequencing DNA data from specimens. I need to bring samples back here to see if more of Regis's message is hidden in them. It's only compatible. Better not. It might tell the lab director. I've taken a DNA sample from it. Looks like Regis didn't hide any data in that one. Better not. I've taken a DNA. I have no idea what anything on here means. This is the kind of thing that'd take a cram course in trans ed. I've taken a DNA. There's some more. Looks like Regis did. I'm going to need to find where he's hidden the rest of the message before I get any sense out of it.
Warning. Security clearance not valid for access to Growth Lab. Vickerman Pharmaceuticals thanks you for your cooperation. Warning. Security clearance not...
Come on.
New security profile created. Access granted. Welcome, Dr. Lau.
Thanks. He looks unconventional. Kids these days. Oh God, I sound like Regis. I've taken a DNA. I've taken a I've taken a They look important.
Era of moral crisis, punishment of evil, you may suffer from moral law.
All right, I won't touch them. I never thought gengineering would be so industrial. It's like a factory line. I didn't realize that gengineering was done with so much tape and wrenches. I can't figure out what any of these tools are for. Hi there.
Era of moral crisis, punishment of evil, you may suffer from moral law.
My name's Dr. Max Lau. I'm a cell case specialist.
When will Plummer show them a photograph?
You're not making any sense.
The barber envies your good fortune.
Are you all right?
The light at the end of the tunnel would die for a grapefruit.
Can I get your name?
Nihilism asked you a question?
Okay. What's your role at this facility?
An evil engine of desire wrapped within a rude message.
Uh-huh. What happened here?
Only one parrot quietly spat on the electric chair.
I see. I give up.
And so the evil regularly...
Nope, sorry. Wetware's not going...
When will Plumber show?
All right, all right. Looks like Regis. Looks like Re. Looks like. Oh god, what a mess. It's a drone that runs back and forth on rails. Must be what they use to store and retrieve samples in here. The biohazard trefoil on these isn't encouraging. It won't take a DNA sample from the growth matrix. Maybe it needs a bigger specimen? What is this stuff? Better trans up some data on it. Wetware's not going to... I better not. Update Central.
What is the situation, Dr. Lau?
Dr. Baxter is certainly dead. He's been decapitated, and not cleanly either.
His head has been removed.
More like destroyed. At a glance, this would be the most likely cause of death. Nothing unusual found on the body, Central. Estimation on time of death?
The climate control in the specimen lab is compromising your sensors. Ambient temperature is just above freezing. What is your estimation of the incident, Dr. Lau?
There's too much we can't say for sure. We don't know precisely when Baxter was murdered. We can't even be sure that this was the cause of death.
That is a fair assessment. A clearer picture will no doubt follow the autopsy.
Don't send in anyone yet. I still need to carry out a preliminary.
I understand. Continue your investigation of events surrounding the incident.
Understood. Lau out. I hope I can find something to get Regis off the hook. Nothing unusual?
What?
I hope. The growth matrix won't start. Better to have it and not need. This could be useful. Looks like a lot of cartridges for the injector. They've got these...
is... Hi there.
Insignificant
What happened?
era of
I see.
I can't.
The growth matrix. Hey, this... There, I've planted the growth matrix. Let's hope I got Mom's green fingers. This is the one I planted. I don't think I can plant... I've taken a DNA sample from it. I don't think I can plant that. I don't think I... I'm going to need to find... I've taken it. I've taken it.
Warning, copyright breach in progress.
Excuse me?
You are not authorized to remove Orchidaceae isotria samples from the growth lab. They are copyrighted property of Typho Labs GmbH. Beginning purge.
Hey, my sample! What did you do?
To prevent theft of intellectual property, gene sequences in your possession have been neutralized. Have a nice day.
Gee, thanks. Wetware's not going to connect. Wetware's... I'm afraid not. Looks like... Excuse me.
Make it.
I tried talking to your intern. It wasn't helpful.
Oh, never mind that. He's got aphasia.
Isn't that treatable?
Oh, yes. He just gave it to himself. It's what the kids are into these days.
Crippling neurological disorders?
Yes and no. Maladism, they call it. They give themselves old diseases. It only lasts about a week each time.
And you let him do that?
He's not public-facing, and as long as it doesn't get in the way of his work. I figure we all did things the old folks thought were stupid back when we were kids.
I need to ask Meester about the tampered specimens. How do I cure his aphasia?
Well, you wouldn't really cure it. He doesn't actually have the disease. It's essentially wetware designed to occupy the Wernicke and Broca regions of the brain. This then produces the symptoms of the disease. That's what they're going for.
I can't wait a week for the wetware to break down.
Find a way to break it down early then. If we've got an emergency contamination, we use hydroxypyruvate isomerase. It's an enzyme that instructs the fabricators in wetware to disassemble themselves. Is that all?
For now.
Then if you'll...
Looks like a lot.
With caviar.
Really? How interesting.
Beached questions you injector?
Say that again?
Overpass did you stick me with an injector? Now I'll have to get my aphasia rechecked. Not cool, man.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
I'm CS Dr. Lau. I've been tasked with this investigation.
Martin Easter. I've been tasked with the factoring lab.
You work with Dr. Chikwa?
I work for Chikwa. I'm just the intern. Means I get stuck with all the lousy jobs she won't do.
I understand. I was an intern once.
So, what's CS? You a detective?
Case specialist. So, yes, I guess you could say that.
Cool.
I'd like to hear from you what happened.
So, we came in this afternoon for the late shift, right? I checked on the factoring line, and it turns out the specimens are nuked up.
In what sense?
They don't match the catalog any. Not that they're supposed to be. I figured Baxter nuked it up again, so I checked the feed.
That's when you found the body?
Yeah, but Chigwa won't let me get a look. Told me to get back to work while she called Sal. Hey, can I get a look at the body with you?
I'm afraid not. Official procedure and stuff.
Bummer.
Why'd you go and give yourself aphasia?
Not just that. There are loads of syndromes. It's maladies, man.
Aren't diseases like that dangerous, though?
It's not permanent, man. We ain't stupid. Wetware nodes in the body create the symptoms of things we want, which you went and broke. Gee, thanks.
Sorry about that. In any case, they're temporary then.
Exactly.
I still don't get it. What's the hook for maladism?
Man, you old folk never get things like MD.
Old?
Most of these syndromes are diseases that are completely curable. They just don't happen anymore. Society says no to them.
So it's countercultural? An act of rebellion?
Exactly. Diseases like that make the establishment uncomfortable. They don't want it to be a part of their society. But we show them they can't ever get rid of it completely.
You're rubbing their faces in it then.
And in another way, it's kinda retro. Illnesses like that are what shape society. The Black Death made Europe what it is.
Gotta appreciate the classics.
For a lot of us, it's also about who's hardest. Posers go for little things like botulism or influenza. But you know someone's got real nodes on them if they can stand a month with HIV.
So, what other diseases have you tried?
Loads of them. Parkinson's, syphilis, tuberculosis. Last month, it was Hansen's disease.
Wait, leprosy?
Yeah, if you're a Zift, Hansen's is the real name.
Sounds like quite a selection.
That's why I came to study in Newton. Eurofed's just starting to get into MD culture. Even talking about banning it. Newton's where it's at for it. You guys are a lot cooler about what you let people do.
On an individual basis, certainly. That's pretty much the founding philosophy here. Dr. Chigwa tells me that some of the specimens have been tampered.
Oh yeah, I found one of those. Man, couldn't they have just killed the guy without messing up my work?
I need to find it. Which specimen was it?
Oh, a Coracea Brasileira. When I found it, I just thought Baxter was nuking it up again.
What did you do with it?
I just sent it back to the specimen lab. Should be there in the sample store.
I need to remove the Orchidacea isotria sample from the growth room. Thing is, the airlock told me it was copyrighted, then blasted me with gas.
Yeah, that one belongs to TIFL. They're way touchy about it. Only lab staff are able to remove it for factoring.
Could you get the sample for me?
Hey, no way, man. I'm already on 2 strikes for taking stuff out of the lab.
So you could, but you won't.
Sorry, man. Jake already thinks I'm stealing stuff. There's a huge street market for things like spark fruit or cracked wetware.
How do young people go about getting sick these days?
It's a lot harder, but that shows it's a choice. We use wetware to create symptoms, like the aphasia. The wetware I had for that was programmed to lodge in the Broca and Wernicke regions of the brain.
So it's not really Broca's aphasia.
Same symptoms though.
You'd buy wetware nodes from shops?
Nah, find hobby GG programmers through the trance. They're always looking to sell. It's like a contest. They're always releasing those syndromes, competing with each other. You looking to get into it?
Not really my scene, thanks. What do you think of Dr. Chigwa?
She's a hard ass, but she knows what she's doing. Kinda thinks she feels wasted working here.
What can you tell me about Dr. Baxter?
Not much. He only started here a couple of weeks ago. Chigwa dropped him in the specimen lab and kinda left him here.
She neglected him?
Nah, he just barely left. Could have been a workaholic, but I think he just couldn't focus on anything else.
Did he ever talk about his past with you?
Man, he didn't even talk to me, period, about anything.
What's your personal opinion of Dr. Baxter?
He didn't talk much. One yoked up guy. Chigwa told me he'd been released from jail. Looked like he had a governor in his head.
That's correct. It affected his behavior?
Dude, that's an understatement. That Malkin was like a zombie. One time, I dropped the whole sample tray in his lab. Anyone else would have yelled at me. He started to get mad, then looked just about ready to puke.
The governor inhibited violent thought. He'd been serving a murder sentence.
Oh, no way. Who'd he whack?
That's confidential.
Man, that's unfair. You're a tease.
Remind me, what was that specimen you found?
Jeez, what? It was a Cordyceps Brazilian.
I think there might be a problem in the growth lab. I sorta planted that xenofungus from the growth matrix.
Oh, awesome. That stuff is hella toxic. Nukes nerve tissue up like nothing else.
You sound strangely upbeat about environmental catastrophes.
Nah, man, it's cool. This shit happens all the time. Management gives us time off whenever they run decon.
Alright, I'll let you go.
Uh-huh.
I've taken a DNA. It worked.
According to this, he's been dead for no need to let them know. Well, case. Good luck.
I'm going to need to. Excuse me.
Is that all?
For now.
Then if you...
Eesh, no wonder this stuff's labeled eco-hazard. Give it a few weeks, it could probably eat the whole planet. I've taken a DNA sample from it. I hope it doesn't grow in my pocket. I've taken a DNA...
Warning.
Excuse... Hey, my... What did you... Gee... Yes!
According to this, he's been dead for no need to let them know. Well, case. Good luck.
I'm going to need to find where he's hidden the... Excuse me.
Yeah?
I need to remove the orchid. Thing is, the...
Yeah, that only...
Could you...
Hey, I'm...
So...
Sorry, man. There's a huge...
Alright.
Uh-huh.
Nope, sorry. Nah, he... Wetware's not.
Ow! What the hell, man?
Sorry, just testing a theory. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I need to remember. Thing is, the air.
Yeah, that one only lab step.
Could you get?
Hey, I'm old.
So-
Sorry, there's a.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Nothing unusual found.
What?
We can't.
That-
Don't. I understand. I hope I can find.
Dang.
All right, all right. I can't. Wetware's not.
Dang. What do you think Dr. Chigwa makes fix them when they burst?
All right, all right. Better not. It might tell the lab. Better not. Excuse me.
Make it
Have you found?
as if there was. I do there and
So
you've got the set in.
I've got
Darn right. Is that all?
for now.
Then if you'll.
No answer.
Dr. Lab, you're involved, please.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Not in this case. Looks like a... That's not possible. I can't... It doesn't have any DNA to sample.
According to this, he's been dead for 8 Well, case.
I'm going
Good
to...
luck.
Wetware's... As much as I love shocking... Oops. Nothing happened. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Hey, the pipes in the growth lab are leaking.
Ah, you get again? Better go fix it before Chigwa starts yelling.
I guess these pipes aren't broken. I've taken it. You better not lose it. Aha! Got some.
Lau, if you're listening to this, well, it means they've got me.
Oh no, Regis, no, no, no.
But Lau, ignore anything left in the recording up to this point.
Huh?
Sorry for being so unhelpful with the message, but I had to be sure you were the one who heard it first. Everyone will be saying that I came to the lab for Baxter, and they might be right. Except that he's been dead since before I got here.
Yes!
We need to touch bases on this case. Meet me where we were both first involved in a case. I'll try to explain when you get here. Good luck.
Oh, thank God. You've got some explaining to do, Regis.
What the hell did you think you were doing? We need her alive!
I saw an opportunity for striking back at Regis, a kind of poetic justice.
At Regis? You've never even met the man.
Yes, but
You haven't offloaded Baxter yet, have you? Look, there might just be a use for your newfound vendetta. The tap on his partner was successful. She found where Regis is hiding. He's an unfactored element. Now, he needs to be removed from the equation.
Don't worry. I'll kill him myself if it comes to it.
There's only so much of the city's resources that can be diverted to this. Find him, finish him, then return for offloading. Remember, I'm your controller, not Baxter.
Don't be so sure.
So I got out. I managed to find somewhere to lie low. But I know what Central's capable of. You can only hide from it for so long. Lau had better find that message before an aerostat comes this way. What the hell?